Stretching is so important for the body for several reasons. Some people are not even flexible to be able to bend down and tie their shoes. If you haven't been stretching and if you're not a little more flexible, you could risk being injured and fall. You might be wondering, why do you stretch after the workout? You can understand before, but after the workout is just as important. Stretching will help with your aesthetics. Stretching will also help you kind of just relieve some stress. The more we adapt to different movements and positions, our minds and our emotions actually become more flexible to adapt in certain situations and certain challenges, which is so powerful. There is an extra benefit from stretching that goes way beyond our physical well-being.
You're listening to the Visibly Fit podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a natural path fitness expert and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to the Visibly Fit podcast. I'm your host, Wendie Pett. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing amazing. You know, I think I ask you often, how are you doing today? Like you're going to respond to me with an answer, but I'm just believing that you're doing well and that you are enjoying this sunshine and just making the most of summer because like I mentioned last week, it is flying by. I can't even believe it. My husband and I, we were out hiking a few weeks ago in Colorado and got to see my son for a brief bit, and that was super fun. And so we're making the most of it. You know, we're getting outside as much as possible. And of course, we have tons of yard work and with the flowers and the garden and that kind of thing. But we like to sit outside and do our devotions in the morning when it makes sense. And the gnats, oh my goodness, here in Minnesota, the gnats have been obnoxious. I don't know where you are, but it's not the mosquitoes this year, it's the gnats. So when they are not pressing in, we are out there and it is just enjoyable. But I want to talk a little bit about stretching today because on many different levels, not just stretching our body physically, but I want to talk about stretching in general. We're going to talk about the body first, but how our body and the flexibility that it has or does not have is often a reflection of how flexible we are with our mindset and our emotions as well. So the reason I'm bringing this up and talking about stretching, and I have talked about stretching before on this podcast, but I got a message from somebody and they wanted to know about some simple stretches to do. And I have a few videos on stretching. If you're interested, send me a little email and I'll get that video over to you. But stretching is so important for the body for several reasons. And I have to admit, I am not like, I don't know. I don't do it like hardcore. Like my husband is better at stretching than I am. You know, my 7 to 10 minutes to his 25 minutes, I'm just saying I could do better. But I think it's just really important to stretch before and after a workout. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But it's just so important to obtain flexibility because, man, it does more than just stretching does more than just allow you flexibility. It actually does so many more things than we're going to talk about. But one of those things is, again, that flexibility, which is the main reason that most people stretch, because they want to be able to reach something off of a, top shelf, or they just want to be able to reach down and touch their toes or tie their shoes, for goodness sakes, right? Like some people are not even flexible to be able to bend down and tie their shoes. So regular stretching can improve that flexibility and range of motion. And this helps you perform better with your physical activities and just everyday daily life activities, like I mentioned, just tying your shoes. But it also helps to reduce the risk of injuries. But here's the deal. Individual flexibility really depends on many factors, and everybody's different, right? But it really determines on your joint structure, your ligaments, your tendons, your muscles, your skin, your fat tissue, body temperature, your gender, your age. It really determines multiple things as far as how flexible you are. But there are some people, and I know several of them, that rarely stretch at all, and they are as pliable as rubber bands, right? Like they are like Gumby. They can just move here, there, and everywhere, and they're not in pain. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. While others of us, including myself, we have to practice more in order to get more flexibility. And so that might be you. I mean, I would say that the majority of people need to practice stretching so that we can have that flexibility that we desire. Because without stretching and flexibility, actually the connective tissue of the muscles becomes weak. And we don't want that because that weakness increases the potential for damage when like situations suddenly demand a powerful like muscular contraction. Like here in Minnesota, I've mentioned this before in this podcast, but you know, it's cold and icy in the winter. And if you slip on a piece of ice and you kind of jolt quickly and your muscles contract quick. And if you haven't been stretching and if you're not a little more flexible, you could risk being injured and fall even. But if you're more flexible and pliable, the risk of injury is less, and you're able to recover quickly out of something like that when your muscles contract quick. But a big part of the Visibly Fit program is about stretching before and after the workout to prevent injury. So you might be wondering, maybe why do you stretch after the workout? You can understand before, but after the workout is just as important because after you have felt fatigued in your muscles through the workout and you know your muscles retain, they get that pump, right? And the muscles are like somewhat shortened. They're shortened. So this shortening is mainly due to that repetition of intense muscle activity. So with those exercises that you're doing, the Visibly Fit exercises, for instance, then you've got that pump, and they're shortened, and so you've got to like take it through kind of more of a full range motion and get more of a stretch going because that pumped muscle is full of lactic acid and of course other byproducts, but it's full of that lactic acid from the exhaustive workout. And so that muscle actually needs to be stretched afterward, or it will start to kind of retain that decreased range of motion as it kind of, I guess I'll say, it kind of forgets how to elongate itself. And so I don't know if you've ever seen people that are, you know, they work out a lot, they look good, but man, they have zippo flexibility. Like they can barely reach down and touch their toes. And it's because they are forgetting to do the stretch and they're not making it a daily habit. Yes, daily. It should be in part of your routine every day. Again, I said I'm not as great as my husband is at this. He's like 20, 25 minutes a day. I'm more like 7 to 10. So I could increase mine as well, but every little bit helps. And so it becomes more routine. And if maybe like, even if you're, I don't know, watching your favorite TV show, sit on the floor and start stretching instead of just sitting on the couch or whatever, and get your body used to going through the motions, because stretching removes that lactic acid and it reduces that tightness of the muscles. And again, it will elongate them again. And so it's really important if you're wanting to get stronger, actually, and actually to keep from being at risk for injury, honestly, because the more you are flexible, the less opportunity there are for you to get injured. I usually like to think of when you're stretching, stretch as far as you can to kind of that full range of motion as far as you can until you want to cry uncle. Like there's a little bit of pain there, right? You want to get to that place. And then when you get to that place where it's a little painful, then you want to hold that stretch for about 10 to 15 seconds. And you want to do this in a static contraction, not with a bounce. Make sure it's static and your contraction and a static stretch, should I say, instead of bouncing. because before you know it, the more you practice this, you will feel like you'll be able to kick up to the stars. Like you will literally be able to do things you couldn't do before. And I think about back in the day when I did stretch a lot. This was in high school and college, but in high school, I actually won Miss High Kick. And that, I mean, I think of that now and I'm like, oh my goodness, how is that possible? But I would kick so high and so hard that I would kick my face and it would bounce back, right? And I think of that now and I think, oh my goodness, I have a long ways to go. I have let some things, my flexibility go. I mean, not that I want to be Miss High Kick again, but I know what our body is capable of, right? And it's capable of so much more when we give it the opportunity. And there are more and more places popping up all over the country to help you stretch. Now, you can stretch on your own, and I definitely highly recommend stretching on your own each and every day. But stretching with a partner is even more impactful. So if you don't have a partner, or if you don't want to do this with your spouse, or a roommate or whatever, a friend, then you can go to these different places and they will help stretch you out. And so basically they'll take you to that place where you want to yell uncle, right? And they'll have you push against their um, they've got your leg or your arm or hip or whatever in a kind of a compromised position, and you're pressing against their tension. Okay, so you're working against them, and that helps you become more flexible. And this was exactly what we used to do in high school. I remember we would have a partner and they would hold our leg. We would stand up against the wall, our back against the wall, and they would hold our leg. And as we were trying to press down with our leg, they were pushing up with our leg. And so there was that constant tension, and it allowed for more flexibility over time. And so I really want to encourage you to go beyond just stretching on your own. Even if you have to go someplace, fine. But if you want to, just bring in someone into your workout, do a little couples stretch, then I promise you will see increased flexibility and you'll have fun doing it. I mean, my husband and I have done it a couple times and we giggle, we laugh, but it's fun. And you can really see that, wow, okay, I'm improving here because I have my partner pulling and pushing, and it allows me to go further into the stretch. Okay. So again, flexibility is so important. And that is one of the main reasons that we stretch, right? That flexibility, because we don't want to be all tightened up with that lactic acid buildup and never elongate our muscles. We want to look lean and lithe and have this flexibility and just to get us through functional activities of our everyday life, right? So I encourage you to stretch each and every day. Now, stretching also improves our posture. Stretching can help lengthen and, like I was talking about those tight muscles before, same within your spine and the muscles around your spine. When you are stretching, it helps to improve your posture. So you're going to sit up taller. You're going to stand taller. It's going to improve the alignment of your spine. It's going to reduce the risk of that chronic pain and those muscle imbalances that so often occur when you're not stretching. Think about when you get out of bed in the morning, or maybe I should think about when I get out of bed in the morning. I go right and do my push-ups, but then after that, it's like, oh, wow, I need to do a few stretches here because I feel a little bit like the Tin Man that needs the oil can quick. I need to kind of get, my the synovial fluid in my joints lubricated again. And so stretching and just doing some mobility moves is very important. So I encourage you to do that, right? And it can just be simple stretches. It doesn't have to be the full stretching workout, but just a few, just to kind of wake you up and get your body moving so you feel like no longer like the Tin Man and that you have been oiled up and ready for the day. So stretching does that. Stretching allows for better athletic performance. So if you are stretching before and after your exercise, it can help you just improve all areas of your athletic performance because it increases blood flow to the muscles. It will improve your muscle coordination, and it really does enhance your overall physical performance. And it actually helps with your aesthetics, how you look. Stretching will help with your aesthetics. Now, stretching will also help you kind of just relieve some stress, believe it or not, even though it's putting stress on the body and it feels kind of stressful because you're in that place of kind of a little bit of pain. It can actually help to reduce and relieve stress. It can be an outlet to relax and help your muscles relax. Now, if you have a sauna that you go to, we have our infrared sauna here. That is a great time to do your stretching routine after the sauna because your muscles are warm, and that is just a nice time because you're already relaxed to help push those muscles to a next level of release, to release that tension in the body. And it can just really have that calming effect on not just your body, but your mind. And that's, we're all connected. It's not just our body. We can't compartmentalize, right? We're a whole being. So when we are pushing through that stretch and we're relieving and releasing that tension, it's also releasing tension from our mind. It might be releasing some anxiety or just kind of some worrisome kind of feelings or thoughts. And so it does a lot more than just help your body. And I did mention before how it helps to prevent injury. So make sure you are doing regular stretching, okay? Because that elasticity of your tendons and your ligaments, it can reduce that risk of strain and sprains. So stretch, stretch, and stretch some more. And even maybe if you are at work or something and you just need to, I don't know, maybe you sit at work, just get up and stretch for like 2 to 3 minutes. Doing a stretch can actually give you some new energy for the day. It will improve the circulation, your blood circulation, so you'll have more energy, and it will help keep your muscles from cramping. All kinds of things when we stretch. So make sure that you're doing that because when we do have better blood circulation, it helps to deliver oxygen and nutrients to our tissues. It helps to promote faster, quicker muscle recovery. So if you just got through with a big workout, stretch because it's going to reduce that muscle soreness. A lot of times people skip the stretch and then they're so sore that next day. And then most people are really, really sore the second day after they work out. It's not always that next day, it's 2 days after. And so if you stretch, it will help to diminish that painful muscle soreness. It really will. So that's another bonus for why you want to bring in some flexibility and start stretching your body. But I mentioned this before, but it really does reflect your physical tightness, or if you're flexible or not. It does reflect your mental and emotional flexibility. It does. I don't know how many times I have seen people that are just not adaptable, right? And when I see them do a workout or, the Visibly Fit moves, I see how rigid they are and also how they are just not very flexible. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So we need to breathe through this. We need to start practicing and become more adaptable because the more we adapt to different movements and positions, our minds and our emotions actually become more flexible to adapt in certain situations and certain challenges, which is so powerful. So I want you to start thinking about that. Like, notice that there is extra benefit from stretching that goes way beyond our physical well-being. It's our mental, it's our emotional strength and flexibility as well that can have a profound effect on how we operate in our day. It can have a profound effect on our relationships. It can help us be more open, right, to change, because change is an interesting thing. A lot of people get stuck in a certain way of doing things, seeing things, going about their day, and not, if it's healthy habits and everything's good, great. But a lot of times people just need change, and they don't want to change because they've always done the thing that they've always done, right? They're just rigid in their thinking, even if they are in a place of it not being a healthy situation or having healthy habits in their life, they still are rigid, right, about it. So we want to have openness. We want to be adaptable to be able to navigate through life's ups and downs, because we all have them. And this will allow us to adapt with greater ease. Okay. We want to have resilience. We want to be so resilient, and flexibility in our bodies can help us be resilient in our minds and in our emotions. It really can. Because when we stretch our body, when we stretch our muscles, we create that resilience and that elasticity that allows those short muscles to elongate, and allows and it kind of allows us to bounce back better from stress and strain. Okay, so I think it's powerful to note that when we are in a strained kind of place mentally and emotionally, to notice, wow, I'm just not very flexible here, and I need to become more resilient in the face of adversity. We all have stuff going on in our life. We want to be able to bounce back quicker. We all have setbacks, but we want to have a positive outlook, and we want to be more adaptable and be resilient, and have an attitude of gratitude, and push through that pain. Because when you push through and you breathe through it, because we want to breathe through that place where we want to yell uncle, like when we're stretching physically, when we breathe through it, then we can get through it, and we end up being able to become more flexible with our breath work. Same is true with our mental and emotional state. When we start breathing through that, we become better equipped to just regulate our parasympathetic nervous systems and our sympathetic nervous system, and get it regulated, so we can make a better choice in that situation, and not to be all elevated in our emotions and maybe do something that we would regret later. Okay, so all of this is very important. Stretching ourselves to become more flexible in all areas is vital. It really is. It is so important. And I think the more that we practice the physical stretching and equate it to practicing those, stretches with our mind and our emotional well-being, the more we can experience peace and calm, and we can feel like, wow, okay, I have a tool. I have several tools in my toolbox to help reduce stress. And this can be very powerful to even share with those that you love, those in your family that might be going through some tough stuff. Remember, more is caught than taught. So if you are stretching and they see how it kind of spills over with your mental mindset and your emotional well-being, then maybe they will also start practicing that as well. But you just become more balanced, right? I guess it's more harmonious, I guess I would say. You become just in a more open-minded and mindfulness kind of place. And so even while I'm stretching, I know that I'm in prayer, I'm in meditation, I'm breathing, I'm doing my deep breathing while I'm stretching, but there's so much more going on spiritually. And I think it can be a really awesome workout. So I just want to encourage you to stretch your body, because again, when you let go of that tension and that resistance, it allows for a greater range of motion. It allows for more opportunities of not being rigid in your thinking patterns, and being open to new ideas, and being creative, and being open to new perspectives, and listening to others. right? Like sometimes we become so rigid in our thinking, we won't even listen to anybody else. Well, maybe we just need to stretch ourselves a little bit, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and really create a harmonious state of being and become regulated. Yeah, we can do that. And it just takes practice each and every day. If you would just allow, you could start off, with 5 minutes, and then maybe you work your way up to the 25 that my husband does every morning. And you will start to see a huge difference. I promise. So do that. That's my challenge for you this week, is to stretch yourself. I'd love to hear how bringing in stretches and making this a daily routine has started to impact you on a greater level. So send me a note, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Respond to my social post or on my YouTube channel. I would love to hear how you are developing your flexibility, not only to support your body, but to develop a flexible mindset, to adapt and to cope with stress and remain open-minded, and to regulate those emotions effectively. I really do want to hear about it. And maybe someone has noticed, as you are adapting and adopting this new habit and routine of stretching, maybe someone in your family notices and says something to you. I'd love to hear what they say. Like maybe they say, wow, you're just really showing up in this situation differently than I expected. Or you seem so much more calm and at peace and at ease. I would just listen for the comments, and also notice yourself, how you show up in situations. And I would love to hear about it. Anyway, that's my challenge for you this week, is to stretch. And again, if you are looking for a stretch routine, email me and I can send you a couple of videos that might be helpful. So thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Thank you for tuning in each and every week and being a part of this community. I appreciate you. I value you. And I just pray that I am giving you content that is encouraging you, and it's equipping you, and maybe challenging you a little bit from time to time to go deeper, to stretch further, and to reach for greater, because you were made with greatness in mind. So it really is time to own it. Okay. All right. God bless you. And please share this with those that you know and love. And I will catch you same time, same place next week. All right. Be blessed.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show, so thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com, and thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.